G'day folks, it's Phil from 15-Minute Guitar Practice here. What happens if you're at a jam or with some new musicians at an audition or with some buddies and they go, okay, we're going to do a song, let's do it in B, it is a 1-6-4-5. Ready? 1, 2, 3. And you're like, what? What's going on? If you would like to know what the hell just happened and what you need to do because they're about to start the song, this video is going to help. This is about knowing chords in the key. Okay, but it's not about the classroom knowledge of knowing chords in the key. It's to do with knowing your root notes of the chords in the key. And what we're going to do is use our friend, the major scale. Now, a lot of people think the major scale is, just another scale. But actually, the major scale is like the tree of life, okay? Everything comes from the major scale. It's very useful as a scale for harmony and melody. It's very useful as a tool, and this is the important bit, for unlocking other things like modes, like chords in a key, like there's a bunch of other stuff, all right? So don't ever underestimate the flexibility and power of the major scale. It's not just there to play up and down like the other scales. It's got value in other places. All right, so back to this. It's a 1-6-4-5 in, let's say, B. What do we do? Let me show you. Okay, so it's a 1-6-4-5 in B. Here's what we do. Step 1, we put our finger on the B note. Okay, and that is the 7th fret of the bottom E string, okay? Now, this is not about knowing chords in the key necessarily, but knowing where the root notes of those chords are in relation to this root note of the key. Okay, so here's B. The B is going to be the root note for the 1 chord. So we've got that one sorted. 1s are always major, so the first chord is B major. Now the next chord is a 6. Now what you can do is walk up the major scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And you're thinking, oh, crap. That's on the 4th string and I don't really know my chords on the 4th string. Don't worry, because this is an octave higher than this note here. And you know your notes on the E string, okay? So thing to remember here is your 6 is always 1, 2, 3 frets down from the 1, okay? Obviously 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, it's up here too. But your 6 is always 3 frets down from your 1. 6 is always minor. So your second chord is an A flat minor. Alright, then it was 4, 5. Now 4s are always underneath the 1 if your 1 is on the bottom E. If your root of your key is on the bottom E, your 4 is always directly underneath it there. And you can prove that by walking up the major scale again, starting with your second finger. Second finger, 4th finger. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so 4s are always under the 1. 4s are always major. So your next chord is going to be here. And 5. Well, 5 is always 2 frets up and 1 string down from your 1. Okay? So that will mean that this is your F sharp major chord. So, the chord progression is this chord, then this chord, then this chord, then this chord. Even if you don't know the chord names, you know that from the 1 to get to the 6, it's always 3 frets down. Now, while you're here at the 1, you also know where the 2 is, because the 2 is 2 frets away from the 1. There are only 2 frets distance for every note in the major scale, apart from in 2 places, and that's the difference. That's the distance between the 3 and the 4 and the 7 and the 8, or the 7 and the octave of the 1. So if you know this one is 1, 2 frets up is 2, and that 2's a minor. So if you had to play like a 1, 2, 4, 3, let's do that. 1 is here, 2 is 2 frets up, and it's minor. 2's a minor. If you need to play a 3, 3's are always diagonally down 1 fret and on the next string, like diagonally that way from your root. So here is your 3. So that's your root note of your 3 chords. If you need to play a 3 chord, 3's are minor, And we'll cover this in a second. How do I know which one's which? Okay. And your 4, as we've already said, is underneath the 1 on the next string. And the 5 is up here. Okay, so you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 3 frets down from the 1. And also, if you needed to play the 7, which is kind of rare, but if you needed a 7, you go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you'll be like, oh, again, it's on the 4th string. I don't know what it is. But remember, you can go an octave down. And because the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, then it goes to 8 or 1 because it's in a loop. Okay, this is the 1, so then 1 fret down from the 1 is actually the 7. So it's probably rare you would play this diminished chord, but that's where your 7 is. And if you want to know where your flat 7 is, if that's your 7, your flat 7 is 1 fret lower because you're flatting the 7. Okay, so now you know. Somebody goes, okay, it's a 1, 6, 4, 5 in D. Immediately, step 1, grab your fingers, put it on the D string, play your major scale. 1, okay, so it's going to be major there. 6, 3 frets down. 4, it's directly underneath the root. 5, it's 2 frets up and 1 string down. This is only if your root of your key is on the B, is on the bottom E string. Okay, there's a different set of rules for the A string, but this will get you quite far. Okay, so let's take a different sequence. Let's take a 1, 3, 6, 2. Okay, in G. Move it down here so you can see a 1, 1, 3, 6, 2. Okay, so immediately put a second finger on the G string and we go up and down the major scale. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. Well, 1, 2, 3. So this is going to be our second chord. This is our first chord. 3 is here. 1, 2, 3. Remember, it's diagonal and the string down from the bottom E. So there's our 3. 6, did I say? And then 2. Okay, so 6 is 3 frets down. 1, 2, 3. So that's going to be open. It's going to be E minor. And 2, well, here's the 1. The 2 is 2 frets up in relation to the 1. So if you start relating everything to the major scale and relating everything to where that chord is in relation to the root of your key, so if it's a 3, it's diagonally down 1. If it's a 4, it's underneath. If it's a 5, it's 2 frets up. 6 is 3 frets down. This will get you the solution to what we said is you bunch of buddies, or there's an audition, or you're at a jam, and they're like, okay, it's a 2-5-1 in B flat, go. And you're like, okay, B flat is here, 2-5-1. Okay, so there's a 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 5 is there, and 1. 1 is here. Okay, great, and you're good to go. Now let's talk a bit about how do we know which chords are major and which chords are minor. It's pretty straightforward. These tonalities are already predetermined, okay? So this is the rules of music and harmony. The 1 chord, the 4 chord, and the 5 chord are always major. The 2, 3, and 6, basically the rest of them apart from 1, the 2, 3, and 6 are always minor, and the 7th is diminished. So that's when we're talking about basic chords, basic major or minor. Basic major or minor chords only contain 3 pitches, but let's not get into that now. If we're talking about other chords like 7th chords, then the rules are adjusted slightly. You basically put 7 after the things we've just discussed. So whereas 1 was major, 4 was major, and 5 was major, now 1 is major 7, 4 is major 7, and 5, slight adjustment, is dominant 7. And the 2, 3, and the 6, which were previously minor, they're going to be minor 7. So 2 is minor 7, 3 is minor 7, 6 is minor 7. And the 7th chord was previously diminished. Now that one is minor 7, flat 5. So the way I teach my students to remember the order of these tonalities of chords in a key is with the following. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, dim. Major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, dim. Major, minor, you get the idea. Okay, it's a kind of annoying little jingle hook thing that just kind of gets in your brain and sticks there because it's kind of annoying. Okay, so that's how you navigate that scenario in a jam. Somebody's called some Roman numerals and you're like, what? You've got a little bit of time. 20 seconds or so is all you need. You need to know one major scale fingering, and you need to remember the 1, 4, 5s are major, 2, 3s and 6s are minor, 7s are diminished. Or if you're using bigger chords like 7th chords, 1 and 4 are major 7, 2, 3 and 6 are minor 7, 5 is dominant 7, or just what we call 7th chords. And 7th chord, the 7 chord, let's not confuse between the 7th chord in the key, the 7 chord in the key, and 7th chords as in dominant 7th chords like A7. The 7th chord in the key, if you're using 4-note chords, i.e. 7th, is a minor 7 flat 5, which looks like a minor 7 chord if you know that. This is a D minor 7. This is the 5 that you play on the D string. You just flat that 5, okay, and move it down. You need to use your different fingers. And there's your minor 7 flat 5. Alright, that's all for me for today. I hope that's useful. It's really quick and should be easy. Off you go and get stuck in. This is Phil from 15 Minute Guitar Practice saying bye for now. Cheers.